Hi, everyone. Welcome to another Terry Talk. As the saying goes, may you live in interesting times. Now, some people have claimed that this is an ancient Chinese curse. Still lots of debate about where the origin of this comes from. Not sure, but yes, it is interesting times. So last week, a team member comes to me and says, how are we talking about the Israel-Hamas war? And I gotta be honest, my initial reaction was completely flat-footed. Felt like just a topic that wasn't something I wanted to get into. So, let's just ignore it. And some would argue, and I bristle at this, that that's my privilege talking, which really means the advantage I have over those who are living through this catastrophic event. I don't have any direct relatives there. I know a few people who are impacted, but just marginally. And then my business partner pushed me further on this. And that really, really irritated me, which meant, you know what, Terry, something bigger is afoot here. So here we are. So here's the rub. People come to work every day as their whole selves. If you've heard me talk before, I will also bristle, the word of the week, I guess, at saying people are our most important assets. People are not assets. They're not something you can liquidate quickly. People are investors, and they come to our work places every day. You get them all in totality, the whole self. That means that there's stuff going on in their lives that are impacted by forces outside of work. And when we sort of pretend that everything's okay, when we pretend that everybody has it together, we're probably missing a few things. Some people are deeply impacted by the events in the world today. Maybe they've got a sick kid at home. Maybe they're, it's my son at the place where he's living right now, his sewer backed up last week. That's an epic event. Maybe somebody's been diagnosed with cancer. All these have different impacts on different people, but it's hard for us to be 100% always on and there. Now, imagine these starting to pile up. These feelings are starting to pile up, especially in light of, different traumatic world events like wars, or just being part of a marginalized community. So, and then imagine how those people who are directly impacted now have to kind of show up at work and cover up the fact that they may not be feeling their whole selves. So we need each other now like never before. But in truthful, we've always needed to have each other's back. Community is so critical to our overall well-being as humans. Human connectivity has been around forever, and it's epically awesome. Empathy. There's something we could use a lot more in this world today. Compassion. And, remember, oxytocin is the cuddle hormone that actually makes us feel better when we actually have physical touch with each other. So let's get real. Your workforce is suffering. They're confused. They're conflicted. And that's happening right now, today, in our organizations. When we don't talk about things, when we ignore these things, when they hope they go away, it's like stealing a page from 1960s when, young women would get pregnant and we'd send them off to country and hope that to the country, and we'd hope that the problem went away. Not talking about things doesn't mean people aren't thinking about it, aren't feeling it, or not whispering about it. Never goes away. So I think there's a few things we can do in our organizations. First of all, we can acknowledge things are happening. Doesn't take a lot for us just to say, hey, this is happening, to let our teams know that we're paying attention and that you believe it's important enough to acknowledge it. As Lencioni tells us, one of the 5 temptations of a leader is not to be vulnerable. Don't be afraid to share your emotions. That's vulnerability, and that helps build trust and great leadership. And then somebody says, well, what if they disagree? Well, is it better to have a disagreement or silence, which means, or can be interpreted as, I don't really care. I'll take the former, thanks. And remember, we've been talking about this for a while. We think this is really important. Check in on your people, not on your people. In group settings, how's everyone doing? On one-on-ones, how are you really doing? How are you taking care of things? How are you? Let people know that you're available as a leader for a chat. Maybe sometimes get together and get outside the office and do something outside of the realm of work. And sometimes you may need to think about how labor gets distributed when people may be in a place of more vulnerability and in a tougher spot than normal. The other one, sometimes people will take care of themselves in very interesting ways. They may disengage, they may remove themselves. Watch those work from home folks that may be in a hybrid situation that aren't coming in anymore. Don't interpret it as apathy, but maybe it's the fact that they just need a time out. And give them the space they need, but be there to be supportive. Empathy. There it is again. Ensure people get supported and feel supported. Remember, as a leader, that doesn't make any sense. You got to look after yourself first. You get on an airplane, what do they tell you? Do you put the oxygen mask on the person next to you? No, you put it on yourself first. You can't help others if you're not okay. You can't pour from an empty cup. So have your peer groups, have friends, networking groups, have that ability to connect with each other, talk about these things. We're living in an era where we're constantly bombarded with terrible, devastating, and let's be honest, emotionally draining news day after day after day after day. So sometimes it's just really hard. And sometimes people are just a moment from just having a complete breakdown. As a leader, you have the opportunity to allow for a little bit of breathing room. I think that when your team knows you for your empathy and your compassion, that's awesome. But let's not have them remember you for your silence. As always, we welcome your thoughts. Interesting topic this week. We think so. So as always, drop your comments down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Always open to having a conversation. Love to hear your thoughts on these and other topics. And we'll look forward to seeing you again real soon.